it's MPJ time, then that, only one thing. It means it's new rock album review time! And welcome back. Welcome to my wonderful panel, to Andy, to Paul, to Dave, and to Trish. Welcome, gang. How are you all today? All good?
Good.
Ready to do rock and roll things? Talk about rock and roll things? Good, because what's the show about? We review the latest rock albums, rate them out of 5, see if they get 4 or more, get into our Hall of Fame, or get listed. If you want to know more about the bands that we review, we always put a biography in the chat, in the description of the video, so please check them out. Today we are reviewing Frost and their album Life in the Wires. It's a band that I've not heard before, and but somebody who I have always heard of before, because I've known him all my life, and that's Paul. And Paul, talk to us about Life in the Wires. Did you want to go and live in the Wires, brother?
Well, you can see by my background I'm living in the Wires.
You are, aren't you? Yes, you are. You are.
So Frost's latest album, Life in the Wires, is a direct follow-up to the last album, Day and Age, fleshing out the imaginary world whose character, imagined on the previous album, was searching to be heard. We are introduced to Neo, I don't know how to pronounce it, Neho, who Jem Godfrey, the creator behind the band, describes as an aimless kid heading for a meaningless future in an AI-run world. Here's an old DJ talking on an ancient AM radio his mother once gave him, and decides to trace the source of the signal and find Livewire to see if there's a better future out there. However, the all-seeing eye is less than impressed at this bid for independent thought and fights back soon. Neheo finds himself pursued across the country by an outraged mob as he tries to locate the home of Livewire and his freedom. Livewire is an excellent prog rock concept album. The only issue for me is just too long. Life in the Wires Part 2 runs for 15 minutes and 51 seconds, and it lacks that certain dynamism that only bands like Rush could capture. That's not to say that I won't return to this album and give it another whirl. There was lots to like about it, and probably it needed more time than I had to absorb, and it did remind me a bit of some concept albums I'd listened to in the future, in the past, sorry. I don't know where I am, future, past, so somewhere in between.
You're stuck in AI. You're stuck in AI.
You're stuck in the wires.
Yeah, it was just the AM radio that threw me as well. That isn't ancient. That's prehistoric now, isn't it?
Indeed. I'll tell you something who's not prehistoric and isn't current, and that's Andy. Andy.
Oh, I feel it sometimes. I feel it.
Yeah, there, mate. Yeah, you should come from my world. What did you think? Enjoy?
Well, when I first saw this, I thought, yeah, okay, so we're doing a double concept album. That's a big meaty beast to go through. This isn't going to be for everybody. As I said, the plot is the future, AI, it's controlling, that kind of stuff. It does remind me a little bit, the plot-wise, of what The Who did with Lifehouse, or they were going to plan to do, which then became Who's Next. So we're in that kind of realm. But I grew up with a lot of this stuff. I grew up with Pink Floyd. My dad listened to the Moody Blues, all these, and it just was very reminiscent of that. Sonically big, diverse, innovative. Yeah, there's lots and lots of wonderful big keyboard solos, guitar solos through for it. Very melodic, wide range, but it's a big piece of an album, 15-minute long tracks, and it was just a little tiny bit so close to being absolutely fantastic, but it's just a little bit too difficult to get through in some areas. But as a very solid album, really good.
Tell you who's solid and good, and that's Dave. Dave. Oh, Dave.
Yeah.
I know what's coming.
Hit
us with this anyway.
I'm just not the target audience for this sort of thing. I'm really not. I found it so boring. It was probably one of the longest hour and a half of my life, to be fair. Musically, there was a few things that I would, now and again, I'd be like, oh, I quite enjoy that. That's quite nice. But it was sort of very, very far and fleeting, really. There wasn't enough to hold me into it. As I say, I found it sort of fairly boring. The thing that annoyed me with it is a lot of the time the songs felt like they were building towards something, but they never actually went anywhere. And it always sort of just left me wanting a little bit more at times. And as I say, as soon as it finished, it was like, yep, I'm not listening to that again. And that was it, sort of one and done, really.
Well, somebody who's never one and done, and that's how Trish. Hey, Trish, you're never. I imagine you're never one and done.
So, Life in Wires by Frost. I went into listening to this album with no expectation of what was to come or what genre of music I was about to hear, as I'd not heard of Frost, the band, before. Clever use of asterisks in the band name, as could point as a serving suggestion, serve chilled, or may contain nuts. So would this album leave me out in the cold, drive me nuts, or would I need wires to revive me after listening? The opening track gives nothing away, so you must listen. Hints of the band King Crow, Pink Floyd sound as we delve into the second track, which isn't a bad thing in my opinion. Whilst I don't like to dissect tracks or annotate them, as that is for the listener to make their own opinion, I have to say Idiot Box and School introducing the all-seeing eye really make it come alive, bringing some punchiness to grab you. Otherwise you get lost in what the album is, as the tracks flow into each other on what is a 1.5 hours listening time. And you need that something to keep you engaged, to say, don't leave, I have more to offer of little gems hidden in this album. If you're a lover of neo-prog rock, Pink Floyd, then this album is for your listening pleasure. For me personally, I wasn't left in the cold, or gone nuts, or need rewiring, as there are some truly great tracks on this album. It just needs skimming back in time or track listing. I'm not an authority in the music world, so there may well be a reason this album is the length it is, and I will always respect artists for what they produce, doing what they love.
So, obviously I could only sample a couple of tracks, maybe 1 or 2 tracks before they get shortlisted, and musically this reminded me a little bit of Fans of the Dark, with that kind of 80s kind of synth vibe to it as well. So, and obviously that made our top 20 album. So yeah, okay, this sounds interesting and promising, and it was always that. It was always interesting, and it was always promising, because I think pick out a couple of things that people said. Melodically, I get lost in prog rock albums and sometimes concept albums, but this kind of held me because melodically there was some fantastic riffs in there. But I also agree with Dave that you kind of just, it would be looking to build somewhere and then maybe not go anywhere. But melodically it kind of still kind of held an interest, and it was, and sometimes with prog rock metal bands like this, it does tend to lose me, but it had enough to keep my attention, but it didn't have enough for me to keep coming back and go, oh, I really want to listen to that album after the second or third listen. It was just like, I'm pretty done now with this. Really, yeah, maybe I would listen to it again if it was like, I wanted to kind of drive into the Highlands of Scotland, and and I wanted to be kind of just alone in my world. Solid is probably the ultimate thing there, and I think if they did shorten their tracks somewhat, which I know prog metal bands refuse to do so because they say, well, no, this is us, and this is then again, Dave's right, then your target audience isn't going to be as far reaching like me and other people who would probably go, I can't wait until listen to your next album, but I wouldn't be excited to listen to the next album, but I would be interested in the hope that you shorten it a little bit. But anyway, that's kind of my verdict on that. Let's find out whether this will get into our Hall of Fame. What will its rating be overall? So Paul, let's start with you then.
That's a bit worrisome. You started with me. I give it a 3.5.
Well, we started the review with you, so we start the scoring with you.
Oh, right, okay.
That'd be why. Andy?
I gave it a 4.5. That close to being a 5, I have to say.
Okay.
It was very solid for me. Wonderful.
Impressive. Dave?
feeling my score might get dropped. It was a 1.
Well, you might not, because Cully also give it a 1. So you're not alone there in feeling a bit lost in the wires on that score. Trish?
2.5.
2.5. I matched with Paul. We're agreeing today. Apart from being what's going on? I know, right? I also give it a 3.5 as well. So Dave, no, Dave, no, you're here. I'm dropping Cully's one, not your one. Okay, because there were some positivities I felt in your one. You might give it a 1, but there were some positives in that one. It scored a 3. 15. It's got an average of 3, which is still pretty damn solid, really, for a prog. For us, it's probably one of our most highly rated prog metal bands. So album, shall I say? So well done.
I'm dragging it up. I was dragging it up.
I know, right? I know you're bringing it up. You're going to work a bit harder on the next album to bring it up, but there we go. Let's find out. Anyway, thank you. Do you agree, prog metal fans, rock fans? Check it out. Check Frost out. Let us know. Put a comment in. Like and subscribe, please. And thank you very much. And thank you very much to my gang, to Andy today, to Paul and to Trish. Goodbye. Keep on rocking, everybody. Ciao for now.